Yo guys, welcome back to another video. Today we're doing episode 2, the February 2025 edition of the Pull List, the channel segment where I go through my comic pulls for the month. And I tell you guys what's been cooking, what hasn't, what's being added to the pull list, what I'm dropping, just all the stuff I've been enjoying in comics that I read month to month. Now after that first episode, I do have some ideas of how I can make it better and sort of streamline the series and just make it more enjoyable, less clunky. So I'm not going to talk a whole bunch here. I'm going to get straight into it. We're going to take it week by week. I'm going to pull up Comic Geeks on here, take a look at what we had week to week, and then I will do my rankings. I also am going to have a new segment on here where I call it the new Contenders, talking about stuff that is going to be added to the pull list and that is going to start serializing or whatever here in the next month. So I'll talk about those as well. But kicking it off, let's talk about the first week of the month. It was February 5th, and I pulled 2 comics on February 5th. That was Absolute Superman number 4, as well as Batgirl number 4. So let's talk about that, right? Absolute Superman, it was pretty good. I honestly think that it's probably the weakest of the Absolute universe right now. I like the ideas the most from Superman, but just not enough story progression is happening. Like the first, I want to say 3 issues, really. I mean, the first issue and some of the second issue were in the moment, but yeah, half of issue 2 and then into issue 3 was all backstory with no real story progression. So issue 4 was nice in that it finally started progressing the story a little bit, but really not a whole lot happened. I mean, we finally have our Jimmy Olsen for the Absolute universe, so that was kind of cool. We got a little bit more information on what's going on, but we really haven't been seeing Superman do Superman things very much. So once it starts cooking up, I'm sure it will. I like Jason Aaron as a writer, so I'm sure he's gonna cook here soon, but so far it's probably the weakest of the Absolutes. And then let's talk about Batgirl here. Issue 4 was probably the best issue yet, I would have to say, and I was picking up Batgirl originally just because I thought, I don't have enough DC on my pull list, and I wasn't really picking up much indie at all. So I was like, you know what, let me put on a DC series that's brand new and let's see where it leads us. And I'm going to be honest, it wasn't bad. Batgirl has really been sitting at like a 3 stars. It's just been kind of okay, which I'll talk more about Batgirl when we talk about the rankings. But yeah, Batgirl has just been really okay. It hasn't really blown me away at all. Now, let's talk about the second week of the month, February 12th. So this week kind of cooked a little bit. I'm going to be real. We had Absolute Batman issue 5, which that slapped. Again, Absolute Batman to me is just the best Absolute title going on right now. It's just fantastic. Scott Snyder knows how to write a story. And, coming off of issue 4 was kind of weak for me. It was like the Absolute year 1, and it was okay. Just wasn't my favorite. The issue 4 to me was the weakest of all the issues. But then we hop right back into the actual current story. And yeah, it's fantastic still. So I'm really excited to see where it takes us from there. But yeah, Absolute Batman number 5 was awesome. Then we had One World Under Doom number 1. I'm gonna be honest, I didn't read it. I kind of just picked it up. I wasn't planning on picking it up, but I picked it up to get the JTC negative space because I thought it looked sick. I've heard good things about the One World Under Doom. I might have to go back and get another copy of like an A cover to read or something, but it's just not a big priority for me right now. I haven't had a lot of faith in Marvel lately, just like with their new stuff. So I don't know, I may or may not read it, but it's just not a big priority right now. I just pulled it really for that cover. And then lastly for that week, for me was Psylocke number 4. Now, last month, I believe Psylocke was still unranked. And since then, I did go back and I read all of the Psylocke. I'm caught up. And it wasn't excellent, but it was actually surprisingly good. Issue 4 was probably the best issue in that series. I believe it's an ongoing. And I enjoyed it a lot, actually. So I'm keeping Psylocke. It saved itself from getting dropped. I thought it was a mini-series at first, but I guess now it's like a full-on ongoing, so that's kind of cool. I don't know how long that's going to last or how long it can keep up the pace and not get dropped from the pull list. But hopefully it stays pretty good, and if not, get better. Then, probably my most anticipated week was the 19th. We had Ultimate Wolverine number 12. Or not number 12, sorry. Number 2. I thought it was pretty sick. I liked issue 1 more, just because we got to see some of the other mutants and the battles and stuff. Issue 2, I think, is just more some, like, world building and kind of, like, setup for what's going on in that part of the Ultimate Universe. And, yeah, I mean, it was cool. It was mainly an action kind of issue. Wolverine just cutting some heads off and stuff. It was pretty sick. But there is definitely some major implications, I think, that maybe some people missed out on. I'm not sure, like, how many people grasp it. But I feel like there's definitely something that's going to be cooking up in the shadows for Ultimate Wolverine. So I'm very excited. It's one of my most anticipated series for 2025. And then also that week is Zatanna number 1. Zatanna is a character that I've wanted to read for a minute now. I just think she's really interesting. And this issue 1 was okay. I was really excited for it, and it kind of was a little bit of a letdown. It looked great. The colors are very vibrant, and the art style is interesting. Like, it's really cool looking. But it might need to reread it. But I wasn't really feeling like a lot of the side characters. Like, I like Zatanna as a character, but all of these people that are like her crewmates, like for the magic show or whatever, I just wasn't really, I don't care about these people at all. I just kind of want to read Zatanna. So I'm hoping that these other characters that are like normie human, just normal people, they weren't really interesting at all. So I hope that it doesn't really focus on them much. It was like an okay start. I'm hoping it cooks, but if not, it sadly might get dropped. Yeah, who knows? Hopefully it stays pretty good. And then, talking about the last week, yesterday, as I'm recording this, it's Thursday, so I've went and read pretty much everything. We have Absolute Wonder Woman number 5, cooked. Absolute Wonder Woman has been fantastic from start to finish. I was putting Absolute Superman above it, personally, but, I mean, in this last issue, it freaking cooked. I like Absolute Wonder Woman a lot. It's very interesting. It's action-packed. It's not quite Absolute Batman for me, but so far, it's been better than Absolute Superman, just in my opinion. So I liked it a lot. Blade, Red Band number 5. I've really liked the Blade Red Band. These Red Band series have just been kind of gimmicky. I haven't read Wolverine Revenge yet. I'm waiting for that to wrap up, so it's remaining unranked this month. So overall, I just think that it's kind of like a sales gimmick. The whole Red Band thing doesn't mean much, especially when you have non-Red Band series that are equally as violent, if not more so. Like, the violence isn't that bad. Like, I was reading freaking Ultimate Wolverine, right? And a dude gets his face sliced off, like, but that's not a Red Band, so it doesn't really matter much at all. I don't know why they're doing it, other than to try to make money, I guess. But anyway, the story was actually decent for Blade Red Band, and issue 5 being like the last one of this mini-series, it did feel a little bit rushed. It was probably the weakest issue of the whole series, if I'm honest. Of the whole mini-series, I mean. Just because that ending was definitely rushed. They could have done a lot more. Had it been like an actual ongoing, which I think it should be, we need another Blade ongoing. But yeah, overall it surprised me with how good it was. It was always one of my most anticipated books for the month when it was releasing. But yeah, really enjoyed it, but this issue 5 was probably the weakest of that mini-series. Next up is Helverine number 3. I did read this. It was pretty good. I mean, it got better. I think that with issue 1 and even somewhat issue 2, it didn't quite have me. I thought it was a little cheesy and just being edgy to be edgy, which I wasn't really feeling. Like, they're cool concepts, but I need it to be written well. You know what I mean? Cool concepts, I feel like, are something Marvel has a lot of right now, but they're just not being executed on well. So you have all these cool books and cool characters having their books, but the stories and the writing is just kind of buns. So that's how I felt about Helverine at first, but I let it stay on the pull list for now with issue 3. Issue 3 cooked like low key, so I'm hoping it stays good. I at least want to read through until I think issue 5 or 6, because on the cover there's like a demon Hulk, and it looks super sick. So I at least want to read that. And if they somehow mess up a Hell Hulk, yeah, I'm probably gonna drop it. But until then, I think I'm gonna keep it on the pull list. It's been decent, and like I said, this was definitely the best issue. Next up is Ultimate X-Men number 12. I did end up dropping Ultimate X-Men. I'm gonna be real. It's one of the series that I was looking forward to the most. I read the first trade paperback and really enjoyed it, but I think on a month-to-month basis, it's not worth picking up. It's a series that I think is best read. I mean, most series are best read in trade format, but I think Ultimate X-Men especially so, just because I think the story is a little confusing still. I don't quite understand some of the character relationships, and it's one that I'm gonna have to reread probably in its entirety to really grasp what's going on. It's just, it hasn't been getting me like it did whenever I read it to begin with. Like, I read the first trade, loved it, but ever since I started reading the singles, it's just been okay. But I bet if I read them all like back to back in like a cohesive story without like a month in between, it would be a lot better experience. And so yeah, I would like to give Ultimate X-Men the benefit of the doubt and just wait for the trades. That's going to be going into my trade waiting, just because I really enjoy Ultimate X-Men. It's just I'm unable to read it and give an effective opinion on it month to month. It's just not working for me, but I love it in the trade format. And then I decided to wait this long to drop it after issue 12, just because the trade for volume 2 covers up to volume 12, so that means whenever they have volume 3 of the trade, it'll pick up with issue 13. However, I will say issue 12 low-key cooked, like for real. Like it got a little good again. I think the first trade was really good, and then it was kind of a lull. It wasn't cooking as much, but issue 12 has me excited for what's to come. So it kind of had me low-key regretting dropping it, but I figure, I would probably enjoy it more if I just wait and then read trade volume 3 all the way through. That'll probably come out. It really sucks, but it'll probably come out next year or late in the year. Yeah, it might come out in like December or something, so that's gonna really suck, but it is what it is. I'm sure I'll do a big reread whenever that comes around. And then I also, actually, I'll wait on this one because I am going to move over to the next segment here. Let's talk about some new stuff that I'm adding to the pull list, right? So this month I did pick up, in this last week, I picked up Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles by Jason Aaron. I'm finally getting to it. I picked up issue 7 that just came out. It's the start of a new arc. I did not read it though because I haven't read issues 1 through 6. and it's going to remain unranked for a while. Maybe if I can go to my LCS and see if they have issues 1 through 6. I doubt they do. I'm sure they're out of certain ones, because I just want to read it all the way through. It might have to remain unranked until June when the trade paperback comes out. I'm very excited to read some Ninja Turtles, though. I love Ninja Turtles. I've been a fan of Ninja Turtles for a very long time. I just hadn't really read the comics, and as a kid, I didn't know that it was a comic. So, in fact, I didn't know it was a comic until recently, if I'm honest. But I've heard this new run is absolutely fantastic. So, at least I have a good kind of starting point. I have issue 7, and that means all I have to do is continue to pick up the series and then just, get the trade whenever it comes out. I did also, yesterday when I was at my LCS, pick up The Power Fantasy, another indie series. I've heard good things. I don't know a whole lot about it, but I picked up issue 6. I think, yeah, issue 6. And then I did make an order to get the trade paperback. The trade came out early this year. I think it came out in January, but it has issues 1 through 5. So once that comes in, I can read that and then read issue 6 and then be caught up, because issue 7 does come out next month. So that's a series that will definitely be adding to the pull list. I added a bunch of indie stuff to the pull list. I dropped a few things, which I'll talk about in a minute. Talk about the changes that were made to the pull list, and talk about what's all been added and all that. As opposed to January, let's talk about the changes that were made since then. Like I said, I dropped the Daredevil Red Band. Wasn't feeling it, honestly. Issue 1 was just too weird. I didn't feel like spending the money to continue with a series that I wasn't really feeling like that. Sadly, I also dropped Magic number 1. Again, issue 1 was very disappointing for Magic being a character who I really enjoy. Just thought, it's cool to have issue 1. I got the Nakayama variant to get signed and all that. I'm not going to continue with the series. It does have a trade coming out later this year, so I'll probably get that, maybe get that. It depends on how I'm feeling, if I want to get it. I know Magic has kind of been blowing up, like the comic miniseries, and that's I feel like kind of been bolstered by her being a playable character in Marvel Rivals. So there's a lot of hype around Magic right now, and I like Magic. It's just I did not enjoy that first issue, so I dropped that. Batgirl, I dropped. I was gonna wait until issue 6 just so that I can have everything in the first trade. Whenever that comes out, I'll have everything in the trade, but I just, again, didn't think it was super worth it. It's whatever. And then, of course, like I said, Ultimate X-Men. So I ended up dropping 4 books off the pull list. So that's kind of insane. Those, that did free up some room, though. Let's talk about some new contenders. Like I said, Power Fantasy is being added. I was going to pick up Bug Wars by Jason Aaron. Issue 1 came out this month, and I missed it. I saw it on my LCS. I think it was not this week, but last week that it came out. I saw it and didn't pick it up. And then I went back yesterday to try to pick it up, and they ran out. However, there is a reprint for issue 1 coming out the second week of March, so they did a special order for me. I'm going to be adding that, and that is going to be a new contender to the pull list rankings for March. Also, for new contenders, we have Batman Hush 2. Hush 2 drops next month. Excited for that. I actually haven't read the original Hush. It's on my pile right there. I'm going to be trying to get to that this week, hopefully, or I guess this coming week. One of the first trades that I'm going to read that's in my pile. I'll talk about that maybe in another video. I don't know, but I'm trying to read through what I have. Need to read Hush before Hush 2. I have that on the pull list, and then that's the new Batman ongoing. So, like, if it's just going to end, and then it'll go into Batman number 1 in September, apparently. Brand new Batman ongoing, so I'm interested in that. I saw the pictures of like the revamped Batman, and it looks like maybe a good place to start. I have no clue, but hopefully it is. It looks cool. So in September and all that, there'll be the Batman issue 1, and I'll definitely be picking that up as well. Probably my most anticipated books coming out of March 2025, and some of my most anticipated stuff for the year. Absolute Flash by Jeff Lemire. Very excited, especially after the sneak preview we got. Absolute Flash. Looks like it's going to be some heat. That drops not the 5th. I think it's that second week in March as well. Let me look. I think it's March 12th. No. It's March 19th, which is a huge week for me personally, with all of the polls. So yeah, that's going to be insane. In a similar vein, we also have Absolute Martian Manhunter, which is going to be that final week of March. Boy, I am so excited for the new wave of Absolute titles. Yeah, it's just going to be so awesome. So those 4 series are going to be the new contenders for the pull list for March. So until I read, or until I get my trade paperback and read Power Fantasy, that's going to remain unranked, which hopefully it should be coming in next week. So by the time issue 7 rolls around in March, it can be added to the rankings. TMNT is probably going to remain unranked, like I said, until June. But yeah, new contenders, Bug Wars, Batman, Hush 2, Absolute Flash, Absolute Martian Manhunter. And then, yeah, so I don't know. There's just a lot of series that are dropping in March, and I'm very excited. Yeah, it looks like everybody's kind of firing on all cylinders right now. It's going to be awesome. All right, so let's actually finally, now that I'm done yapping about new contenders next month, which I probably should have talked about after this segment, whatever. We've got the official rankings for February. Yeah, so first off, I'm going to start off by saying Blade, I am ranking it, but it is going into a new pile called The Retired. It's a retired contender because that miniseries has finally concluded, with issue 5 being the final issue. So it is going to be dropping off the rankings for future installments. All right, so at number 10, the weakest comic of the month for me was Batgirl, issue 3? Issue 4, I believe. What was it? Yeah, Batgirl issue 4. Like I said, just I had it on there just because it was kind of fun. I was enjoying it, but then I came to the conclusion when I was making some cuts, trimming the fat, it just wasn't worth it. But I mean, it's fun. Just I don't have a whole lot of interest in it anymore. So that was kind of the weakest issue too. That was the issue that was going to save it, or that was the deciding issue of whether or not I would keep it, and it low-key failed. So yeah, the issue, although it was the best one in the series so far, in my opinion, I just still don't think it's good enough to stay on the pull list. So we're gonna have to see what happens. With that, it did get dropped. Coming in at number 9, we have Zatanna. Again, in issue 1, didn't blow me away. I'm hoping issue 2 is better. I'm pulling that Darren Nakayama variant you already know, so I'm at least going to keep issue 2 on the pull list. Hopefully it cooks a little bit. I believe it is a mini-series as well, so I think it's only going to end up being 5 issues anyway, so I might keep it, I might not. It just depends, but I hope it's not bad. Like I said, issue 1 didn't blow me away, but hopefully it does get some improvements. Coming in at number 8 is Helverine. I don't remember how Helverine was ranked last month, but it's barely holding on. It's finally getting a little bit more good. Okay, so I'm keeping it on the pull list for now. It hasn't absolutely blown me away yet. I'm hoping it does in future installments. But for now, it's on thin ice, I will say. But issue 3 again. Let me just make sure here. Yeah, issue 3 of Helverine was decently enjoyable, so it is sitting at number 8. And just looking at last month's ranking, Batgirl was sitting at number 8 last month, so it dropped down 2 spots, with both Daredevil and Magic getting dropped from last month. Batgirl goes down to number 10, and then I also dropped it, and then Helverine was at number 7, so technically it did get dropped as well. And I guess the reason that is just because there were things that were worse than it, so it was kind of helping the series last month, but it did get dropped lower because those series that were worse than it, in my opinion, or didn't perform as well, are no longer there. So coming in at number 7, we have Ultimate X-Men. Again, I thought this one kind of cooked. It was pretty good. I just, because I am dropping it, I couldn't place it super high and then drop it, you know what I mean? So I had to kind of keep it somewhere. It could really be number 6 or number 7, which I'll talk about number 6 in just a moment, but kind of a toss-up, honestly. It was pretty good. It just, again, needs to be in that trade format. I can't do it anymore, but I like it. So yeah, number 7, it is getting cut though. And last month it was at number 6, so again, that one just kind of dropped down. And then coming in at number 6 this month is Blade, which was at number 5 last month. So honestly, it's staying pretty consistent. It just, everything kind of moved down. Once we get closer to the top, we'll start moving some stuff around. But yeah, Blade Red Band concluded. So it is now a retired series from the pull list. It was pretty enjoyable. I just felt like that last issue was a little bit rushed. And because of that, honestly, Ultimate X-Men probably could be at number 6 and Blade at number 7, which, now that I'm thinking about it, makes more sense. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of a toss-up. And at number 5, though, we have Psylocke, which was kind of impressive because it was previously unranked, and I didn't have super high hopes for it. Especially after reading Helverine and Magic issue 1, I didn't have high hopes for Psylocke, I'll be honest, but it managed to be pretty good. So, it coming in at number 5 after being previously unranked is actually kind of impressive. So coming in at number 4 is going to be Absolute Superman, which appears to be where it was at last month. It looks like last month I did put Wonder Woman above Superman as well, which I thought I hadn't, but yeah, no, that holds up. Hoping it gets better with every issue, which it kind of has been. It's just been focusing way too much on backstory. I need to see what's going on. I need to see Superman doing Superman things. So then that means coming in at number 3, Absolute Wonder Woman. Same as last month. It's been pretty good. Yeah, really enjoyed it. Coming in at number 2, a little bit of a switch up, and this is kind of the big battle for me right now with the pull list, is Ultimate Wolverine and Absolute Batman. Those are kind of the 2 best series out right now that are currently being ranked. But this month it switched up a little bit. I'm gonna be real. It is Ultimate Wolverine at number 2. Ultimate Wolverine number 1 was really great. It was a brand new series, and I had put it last month above Absolute Batman just because I was really excited for it. And Absolute Batman issue 4 kind of took its foot off the pedal a little bit and allowed Wolverine to sneak in there. So that's the reason why I had it higher. But Absolute Batman definitely came back and, came out swinging, and it was awesome. And Wolverine, Ultimate Wolverine issue 2, to me, took a little bit of a foot off the pedal, just a little bit. It wasn't as interesting. It's building stuff up. It's gonna get good again. Not that this one isn't good, but it's gonna get better, is what I'm trying to say. So it's kind of like that push and pull, like a tug of war for spots number 1 and 2. I think they're pretty equally good, but it's like a give and take sort of thing, month to month. So Absolute Batman's got it in the bag this month for the number 1 issue of the month. I really enjoyed Absolute Batman. It's staying consistently good. Yeah, it's freaking awesome. So anyways, guys, that is probably gonna about do it for today's video. It still ended up being a little bit of a longer one, but that's okay. yeah, I enjoy doing these rankings every month and seeing how things switch up in the trends of comics. And I hope you guys too. Let me know what you guys are thinking about the polls, about what you guys are polling. Definitely let me know in the comments, or you can even join the Discord server, which is in the description. You can go more in depth and talk with me and the other homies on the server about comics and all of that good stuff. But yeah, guys, appreciate y'all watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.